So we have been seeing this verse, Rasoham apsu kaunteya, I am sapidity in water, Prabhasmi shashi surya yoho, I am the radiance in the moon. What it is, yesterday I have said, I will not repeat this. Then I am the effulgence surya also in the sun. Right? I am the radiance in the moon and sun. I am the Omkara in the Veda. Pranavaha means Omkara. Sarva Vedeshu, in the whole Veda, I am the Omkara. Shabdaha Ke. Ke means in this space, in this Akasha, I am the Shabdaha which is flowing. Ke Paurusham Rishu, I am the manliness in a man. Now, all these verses, if you go on seeing, the Lord says, treat existence with a deep sense of respect. Treat existence, treat Prakriti, nature, with a deep sense of respect, a deep sense of gratitude, a deep sense of love. Look at it. Therefore, when a foreigner comes to India, he generally gets confused. You take a stone, you worship the stone. A tree, you worship. Snake, you worship. They say, what is this? You worship everything. Yeah, you worship everything because God is omnipresent, omnipotent and omniscient. Right? God is just somewhere in heaven, seated in heaven. And other than the world, He is limited by being in heaven. So God is Ishavasyam idagum sarvam. In the Veda, it is Ishavasyam, it's everywhere. Ishavasyam idagum sarvam yatkinchit jagatyam jagat. So therefore, if existence everywhere, He is in the tree, He is in the stars, He is in the moon, He is in the flora, He is the fauna. In simple words, look at life, at existence with a deep sense of reverence. That's what this verse is inviting us to do. Then we'll go into the details of the verse. Treat with reverence. Right? A tree also a reverence. A Shilpi does a stone. Having done out of stone, he makes a murti. Afterward, tell him to put his feet on it, he will not put. After doing prana pratishta, it becomes God to him. So it is a certain drishti, a way you start looking. Because when you start looking at life with deep reverence, you will never abuse life. There's a very beautiful Zen story where a Zen master, when a student in Japan was seeking for a Zen master, and Zen masters are not like Hindu monks who wear a certain dress for people to recognize. They will be just ordinary like Sufi fakirs. You can't recognize them itself. Right? And therefore you need eyes to recognize. That is the strategy in Zen. Even though it is an offspring of Buddhism, Buddhist monks wear yellow dress, but Zen people are in a very casual thing because a student should search for the master. But Hindus are more compassionate, you recognize, so whoever wants to connect there. So a person was a seeker of a Zen master. He was running a hotel and he was running there and he was looking for the master he could not find. And the story goes, a true story, right? It goes that he sees somebody coming into his hotel and taking a cup of tea. Immediately he recognized this man is an enlightened being. He's a Zen master. The word Zen means dhyan, meditation. So he bows down to him and says, "Oh master, will you accept me as my student?" The master says, "Yes." There, and therefore other people came and asked him, how did you recognize this person as a Zen master? How did you recognize him? And the answer he gave was so beautiful. He says, I recognized him, right, Zen master, because the way he was drinking the cup of tea, with deep reverence he was drinking the cup of tea. The way he was holding the cup of tea. The way he was looking at the cup. The way he was sipping. The way he was keeping the cup back with deep sense of love. Deep sense of reverence. A deep spiritual act. As though a deep prayer he was doing. The cup of tea. I knew his consciousness is Zen. Zen means dhyan. Dhyan means meditation. Went to China, it became Chan. And when it went to Japan, it became Zen. Bodhidharma took it to China. And then he went to Japan. And he says the way he drank with tremendous respect, and he was Zen master there. Then he became a disciple. When he became enlightened in his gurus, there, when he became enlightened, a tradition in Japan is created. It is called Zen tea meditation. If you go to Japan, if you go to Zen monasteries, you will find there will be a room where they will serve the cup of tea very lovingly. You have to look at the cup very lovingly, drink. That itself is a beautiful spiritual ritual, like Hindus doing a havan. It is such a deep ritual there, right? And therefore, please see, Zen masters have taken an ordinary act of drinking a cup of tea, a very, very ordinary act of drinking a cup of tea. If you do it with deep respect, this cup of tea will become that truth or enlightenment. Tatvamasi. Drinking a cup of tea is an ordinary act. When you bring deep love, deep reverence, deep bhakti into you, a simple act of cup of tea becomes that state of God. This becomes that there. When you bring in the energy of love, then you will see the power of love is God. But unfortunately, we have love for power. We don't have the power of love, we have love for power. So with that deep respect, right, you have to look now. When you look at the water, the sapidity is water, the magic the water moves, the magic of the water contains, how flexible is the river which is going. See it with deep reverence. When you see it with deep reverence, please understand, you find the river will start talking to you, the water will start talking to you. And that's why if you have read Hermann Hesse's book on Siddhartha, Hermann Hesse was a Nobel Prize winner. You see, this man got enlightened just by a boatman. He was rowing the boat. He was talking to the river, a small book, Hermann Hesse. He becomes enlightened. Whereas his friend Govinda, he meets Lord Buddha, but he does not get enlightened. Whereas this man, just with the river, looking at the river with a deep sense of respect, he becomes enlightened. It is this quality of consciousness that you have to bring in whatever you do. Kama Sutra says, if that quality of consciousness, even you bring in your sexual act becomes a prayer. Your maithuna becomes a prarthana. Kama Sutra talks about it. Your sexual act becomes a prayer. In the Hindu tradition, eating food becomes Annapurneshwari Upasana. You eat the food, a deep sense of respect, a deep sense of love. It becomes Anna will give you Purnatvam. Annapurneshwari Upasana. Alright? And therefore, it is this reverence you have to bring in. If I'm sweating right now, very, very gently, I feel the magic of how a sweat is coming, the magic I'm able to move my hands, the magic of what the intelligence to move my hand. If I start seeing a deep reverence, this body itself is poetry in motion. If you look at the bird chirping, the bird flying, the laws in which the flying can happen itself is poetry. Everything, life itself becomes a university of learning. It is that spirit which is unfolded in these verses. Rasoham apsu kaunteya prabhasmi shashi surya yoho. I explained to you about Shashi, Surya. When Shashi in the Hindu tradition, if you say, means it is humility. Always you have to humble. Therefore, in the Bhagavad Gita, in the 5th chapter, Lord says, Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane Gavihi Hastini Shunihi Shwapakecha Panditaha Samadarshanaha. You should have Vidya, you should have Vinaya. If you have Vidya and if you don't have Vinaya, humility, he is not a wise person. Vidya Vinaya Sampanne Brahmane. Very clearly, I am quoting different slokas for you to see everything is aligned to one beautiful raga of converting samsara into nirvana. So too, when you say Shashi means humility, right? Suryaha, in the Indian tradition, he says Suryaha means it is Gayatri Mantra. Suryaha means Gayatri Mantra. A Hindu is supposed to get up in the morning, look at Surya, Sandhya time, and do his Gayatri Mantra. So Surya is symbolic to Gayatri Mantra. Om Bhuhu Bhuvaha Suvaha Tat Savituhu Varenyam Bhargaha Devasya Dhimahi Diyo Yonah Prachodayat. The word Savituhu means Surya. Right? If it is Surya, just look at Surya now. Because of sun's energy, all of us are alive here. Right? When the sun's energy falls on a beautiful garden, the garden doesn't influence the sunlight. Yes or no? If the same sunlight falls on the gutters of Hyderabad or Calcutta or Bangalore, it falls on a gutter, the sunlight is falling on a gutter, will the sunlight get polluted by the gutter? Avutunda? Ayaledu kada. Sunlight falls on the gutter, it does not get affected. If the sunlight falls on the garden, right, the fragrance of the garden doesn't influence the light. So therefore, a tremendous quality of Surya is it energizes everything, but it is unaffected by what it energizes. Right? That quality you are praying. And if you have a deep Vedantic background, and the same Gayatri Mantra is Surya, and if you are little more evolved in learning, you will see the same sun, Savituhu, in the Gayatri Mantra. There is an outer sun, there is an inner sun within you. And the inner sun is Chaitanya, consciousness or awareness. Inside you, please see, there is consciousness. All of you, close your eyes. Close your eyes. You see darkness, isn't it? But there is a light. Close your eyes, all of you. There is darkness. This darkness, there is a light which lights up this darkness. When you close your eyes, it is dark. There is a light which lights up the darkness. That light is called Chaitanya. Open your eyes. That is called Savituhu. So there is an outer sun called the sun. There is an inner sun. There is an inner sun, please see, which is consciousness Chaitanya. The outer sun energizes the world. The inner sun, the consciousness, the Chaitanya, energizes the inner world, for there are two worlds. There is an outer world, there is an inner world. There is an outer world of flora, fauna, etc. There is an inner world of thoughts, emotions, values, beliefs, likes, dislikes, concepts, opinions, internal structures, kama, krodha, lobha, moha, mada, matsalya. There's an inner world altogether. The outer world by the external sun, it lights up. The inner world, it lights up of your thoughts, of your emotions, your values, your beliefs, your structures, your dogmas. It lights up. Now, how the outer sun lights up the good and the bad, but is not affected by the good and the bad. Therefore you worship Savituhu. Say that guna, guna, please, avahanam. I invite that quality to come into you. When you do this, you are inviting that quality of being unaffected to draw within you. And that being unaffected, throughout the Gita, it is mentioned. Udasinaha is a word used. Is not indifferent. Udasina means ut asinaha udasinaha. Ante urdhvam asinaha anisi. Ut means urdhvam. Urdhvam asinaha. Be seated above. And what is seated being above? You be unaffected. Dukkeshu anudvignamanaha sukeshu vikataspraha vitaragabaya krodaha stitadihi munihi iti uchyate. In dukkha you are unaffected, in sukha you are unaffected. The sunlight lights the gutter, lights the rose, it is unaffected. That quality of sun is inside you. There is a sun within you. It's called Atma, Chaitanya, consciousness. And that Chaitanya consciousness, Atma, if you see, it lights up your good thoughts. But the good thoughts doesn't influence consciousness. It lights up your bad thoughts. The bad thoughts doesn't pollute consciousness. The consciousness only lights up the good thoughts, lights up the bad thoughts. It goes on lighting up, lighting up, lighting up. It is unaffected. That is your real nature. That is your real center. But what has happened? You get identified with thoughts. You get identified with opinions. You get identified with beliefs. You get identified in religious dogmatic perceptions. This identified self is samsara. Lord Krishna says that disidentified sakshi, the Atma, please see, is unaffected. And Lord Krishna in the Gayatri mantra, we give an example. The sun is there, it lights up, it is unaffected. Look within the sun within. So in Gayatri mantra, the word sun refers to the external sun. It also refers to the internal sun of Chaitanya or consciousness. And therefore the problem with us is, for personal excellence, understand, if you identify yourself with the periphery of thoughts, feelings, emotions, you are not going to have excellence in your life. If you station yourself, position yourself, anchor yourself, center yourself, merge in the real self is Sakshi, witness, Chaitanya, right? That is our true self. Attaining that is Nirvana. So therefore, when you say Surya, means Gayatri mantra. Gayatri is Surya. Alright, and that Surya is what just now I explained to you all. Means it's just a witness. In life also, can we just learn to be a witness, 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 witness. Once you are a witness, a different level of personal excellence will emerge. We get too identified, and we suffer. We get identified with your shadow, and somebody stamps your shadow, you get affected. You identify something else, you get affected. Learning not to be identified, learning to be detached, at the same time caring, is the message of the Gita. I'm giving a discourse right now. I should not be attached, but I'll be caring. I'll be committed to teach. Right? I will not be attached. This detachment, at the same time caring, is an excellence that we have to learn. The sun energizes, but is not attached by what it energizes. Isn't it? This you have to learn for personal excellence. You may say, but Swamiji, it's so difficult to practice. But you have to practice. Anything is like that only, no? You cannot be an Olympic champion without practice. You cannot be a musician without practice. You cannot be anything without practice. Hence, abhyasena to kaunteya. So therefore, Suryaha means Gayatri mantra. Gayatri mantra means there is an inner sun which is detached. But still, with detachment, it goes on energizing. That is your real nature. That is your Nijaswarupa. Discover that. And from that center, you start operating. Please see, you will not get attached to anything, at the same time you do. Therefore, in the Hindu tradition, you go to a puja, they make you do a sankalpa. Jnana, bhakti, vairagya siddhyartham aham idam pujam karishe. You take a sankalpa for jnana ante understanding, bhakti to increase bhakti, devotion to this magic and miracle of life. Alright, and also vairagya. Why vairagya? We are too identified. We get identified the shadow, we get identified. This identification is suffering, because one thing is there, when we die, we have to leave everything behind.